Okay.
All right. This is the Public Art Advisory Committee, Monday, June 16th, 2025 at 5:15 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting. The public may join us in person at Brisbane Annex City Hall, Annex Conference Room at 25 Park Place, or may join us via Zoom. This link. We unfortunately are having video issues, but you can hear us audio and we can accept comments at this when the time comes. All right.
Okay. So call the roll.
Chair Glassman,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Here.
Park and Recreation Commissioner Sewell,
Here.
Park and Recreation Commissioner Sims is absent. Committee Member Kelstedt.
Here.
Committee Member Salmon.
Here. Okay. So do I have a motion for approval of our agenda?
So move.
On the second?
Second.
Cool. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Didn't think so. Okay. And can I have a motion to approve our minutes? From
I
last
move that
meeting?
we approve the minutes of May 19th.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. So on to our discussion items, and we're starting off with our discussion on introducing an artfully designed bench program throughout the city.
Okay, so this is something that's come up as a potential topic for future consideration, both it's come up as part of the age-friendly process and through public art in your public art master plan. So before you tonight is just consideration of whether or not to pursue a program, establishing some policies around how you commission artfully designed benches, funding that you intend to allocate towards a program like that. And then just considering all the main criteria about administration, artist selection, materials and maintenance. I included in the packet an attachment that has links to other existing bench programs throughout the country, just for reference. And attachment 2 includes samples of artfully designed and commissioned benches, just to kind of get your creative juices flowing. But with that, I will open it up to the committee to have an initial discussion about an artfully designed bench program.
I'm just pulling up some of the.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
This
There's a
kind
lot of
puts it,
great
yeah,
examples.
in perspective of what we need to do in terms of an outline and how the outreach goes. I love these things.
It got me thinking of when looking at the Ohio one, where it was more like public driven, like you would almost like the fire hydrant project, like you would give people paint, but those would be in specific space within the city, and then you could decide who could paint what and have like kind of more like a local kind of feeling, but also gave me an idea because they also some could be crazy involved, and they could also be put at different parts of the city, and they could be like highlights, and those we could do an RSP for. So it could be kind of a pop-up, have like artists from here do the first program, or like regular benches that they could paint, and then just spend money or spend RSP or the art money for other things that could be more spectacular.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments I wish Karen was here because it really was her.
It was.
She was so passionate about it. And we should try to honor that.
Definitely.
So I have some questions, just so we can have some clarity for discussions. We're gonna discuss how we want to do the RFP. So I think that's part of the discussion, right? On what our budget will be, what our timeline is. Is this something?
I think we're just talking about
Having a bench.
what are we gonna do about benches?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
bench
the beginning
program.
of the
Yeah.
conversation.
yeah, I mean, I'm
That's what I'm saying, but I think we're all in agreement that the idea,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
concept is great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm just struggling with is like I've now clicked on 3 of these links and none of them
Oh, mine works.
like tell me anything. Like,
Their structure.
yeah, like none of them.
They're all
really-
different.
But like none of them have
Exactly this.
Mill Valley, Palm Springs, or Washington. They're just like, this is where our benches are. This is how our benches are. Like, where some of the money, these are like, if you are interested in creating a bench, submit here. It doesn't really say like program, there's no ordinance, there's no policy.
Ohio one was.
I'm just looking at the first three, so maybe we should pull that up if that.
The
Or
Ohio
do
one
you-
was the public
Screenshot it.
aspect one.
Madison, what are you looking for? from
Well, it
that?
says here, like, program administration, structure and oversight, budget and funding, artist criteria and selection process, materials durability, compliance with city codes. So I feel like the program and its administration, structure and oversight, like, we need to figure out how the program is going to look, right? And
Implemented.
how is it all funded through us? Can people contribute? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be good to see like an example from a city that gets into the nitty gritty of like how their program is structured. So I just clicked on the first three, so I don't know if there are others that you know of.
The Ohio one or Iowa.
Iowa City, so maybe we should click on
Yeah,
that.
this one
Yeah.
had more like the public, like public aspect of it was people from the community giving a stipend. And you know, they explain exactly how they require people to apply to this program. But it seems that this is local people that were given a stipend to get paint, and they had bench already set up by the city in different place, and they applied to paint those.
So it's like the hydrants, all the same
Exactly.
bench. And that's another thing we should talk about. Like, do we want
Yes.
all the same bench, or do we want like some of these examples where
Yeah,
They
those
don't say that
could
one.
be,
I don't want all this.
but then the basic bench, we can't have special, crazy, fantastic bench everywhere. So I think some usable one could be along a path, and then we could have special stop and
Yeah,
enjoy.
what I kind of want to avoid, and I'm kind of look at like what I'm looking at the moment is also this is kind of our first opportunity to kind of blaze a blueprint for how do we have a conversation about a new arts initiative. It's like, where do we start with this? And I don't want us getting caught in the weeds right now on an initial. So I guess the question to me is like to back up a little bit. And Tom had a really good point about that Karen was the one who's really driving this forward, but part of that was what were her goals for having this, and part of it was that it was to provide space for seniors, seniors in the community to have places to sit. So it's like, I'm just like, I kind of, like I said, I'm trying to figure out in my own head, like, how do we like kind of in my own head, I'm kind of having that conversation about like how to structure conversation
About
so that it doesn't get bogged down really quickly in the weeds of
But yeah,
like trying to figure out implementation right now.
I agree, but I think we
Yeah.
also need to agree on the basic private. Do we have a regular bench that people are going to paint, or do we actually go for an art piece that will provide? And whatever it is, those benches are going to be for elderly people or people who just wants to enjoy the space. It can't just be one group of people that we attend to. It has to fit everybody.
I think that it might be good to approach this as a two-pronged method. The first might be utilizing existing benches and having the fire hydrant painting, where you go out and ask people for representation on what might work in this space for this particular bench. And then a separate thing that's going to take longer to implement about placing new art as benches and what that budget looks like and what the RFP process is.
That's
And
why I was saying exactly, I think a lot of that stuff structure, the things that we're talking about are already in place. That, because we have benches in town that are like secured to the ground, right?
Like old benches. The standard, kind of thing. I think that there's another deeper conversation to go with how the city's placement in honorarium is, and whether it addresses, thanking someone or honoring someone, because we already have some of those guidelines in place that we want to either respect or, try to get changed to allow for some of this. But I think it needs to be sort of a two-pronged approach. If you want to have the community-driven participation, volunteer kind of thing, versus the art pieces
Yeah.
in art.
Yeah, I think those are two different
How
things.
did you-
Yeah.
Well, I started thinking about the fire hydrants, and it's so similar. It's been a huge success. Does it take away from the fire hydrants? So, and first sounds like we should just copy and paste fire hydrants. It was such a huge success, but then I'm like, does it take away from the fire hydrants?
It's such a big
Well,
canvas.
yeah,
in
it's a bigger
comparison.
Yeah, it's
So-
a different,
And then having custom pieces where sculpture could work. When we just did a tour of all the paths, and there's some really great landings that
yeah,
could
landing would be a
use
great
something
place.
really interesting
Yeah,
that represents how it feels going up. Maybe those could be more artful pieces. But I love the idea of kind of mirroring and copy and pasting the fire hydrant
I
with existing benches.
I think with existing benches, I think you'd probably have to go a little more. Getting a vision of what an artist wants to do with a particular piece, so that it is
yeah, you would still get
aesthetically, because
proposal.
it's such a huge.
I think you would still need proposal.
It's
Well, it wouldn't
such a
be like the
huge-
hydrants where anyone from the
Any- yeah,
community could
can-
paint
right,
it.
yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, it
think
would
be the
not,
key
it would just be maybe local artist.
So we
or-
do a review.
Yeah.
I like that. So
I looked at a lot of these examples, and again, I don't feel like much of this has like program structure, just like picture benches and location. But I would think that the Verena is a really easy place to do a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On the Bay Trail,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, um,
There aren't any places to sit on the Bay Trail, or not the Bay Trail,
there
I was thinking
probably
Croc-
is.
I was thinking Crocker, sorry.
Yeah,
No, the
there's
Bay
not.
Trail does have.
Yeah.
Crocker
access.
too. I mean, I think the Bay Trail, there's like the space if you wanted. Some of these are rather large, so you could, and there's seating there, but it's so durable, like those concrete. And all those, is that our property or is that like, can we put stuff there or, because we maintain all that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's within the 100-foot band of BCDC, so I don't know if there's an approval
BCDC.
process that they would.
So a lot of people walk
Require.
there. There's a lot of elderly people that walk there too. There are existing benches, but they're ugly.
we need
Um,
windbreaks.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
Little
yes.
shelter.
yeah,
Um,
shelter,
because-
definitely.
So I think like these kinds of things that are larger in scale, they're maybe
I love that.
more contemporary or abstract. They're a little bit crazier. You could get away
Article.
with that there.
Cool.
And then maybe, on visitation, you need obviously something that's smaller. We have all kinds of rules about where things could go. I think you could go wild on Crocker, you could go wild Arena. And then maybe throughout central Brisbane or on visitation at least where benches are needed, you might have to get more standard and then.
Yeah, see, and I don't necessarily think. We could have standard benches, but I think that's limiting. I think that there are artists who make standard benches that would work wonderfully well.
Yeah, I mean,
You
look,
know,
there's one right
yeah,
there.
There's one
Yeah.
right there. And even those that don't look like a bench, that sit and move and whatever. I guess what I'm saying is, as a. How, for us to get clear on the decision making or the understanding or the policy of what is the difference between what we as a committee are supporting, and we can do both in terms of getting artists. And I don't, local, international, state, that's all great, but to provide that possibility, as well as how do you implement something that's there already, that's a program and should be in coordination with Park and Rec, like the fire hydrants. Because the fire hydrants is a program of Park and Rec, am I not mistaken?
Yeah, but
And
those
these
are-
benches are already there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's a park and rec thing because like we're not really dealing with, we're just, the community's coming out, they're painting it and it's done. To me, I think it becomes under
That's
public art when
So
we're
we need to
paying
be, so yeah, so we need to be clear, is
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if we're gonna use benches that are already there, and that's step one, then we have to be clear that this, make an RFP that addresses that. Whether it's people in Brisbane, local artists up and down the peninsula, the city, that's a different thing. But inside of that, there's also the ability to have a standard bench that's in the park right here in town. And right across from the green, another wonderful bench that's totally different. There doesn't need to be us deciding to curate. I guess that's the word. Are we as a committee gonna curate?
I mean,
I
it
think
seems
it
like,
should.
it sounds like there's general,
Be curated.
I mean, it sounds like there's general agreement in the idea that
Big canvas. Yeah.
using, like incorporating the existing benches, but also doing an RFP. I mean, unless I'm mishearing the conversation, that it sounds like there's general agreement about
to
that.
me, I would almost prioritize
The-
this,
the
like
art piece.
new benches.
Mhm.
Since the whole point, theoretically, from where this came from, was like, we want to give more places for people to sit. It wasn't like the places that people are sitting are ugly. It's like, we need more places for
Mhm.
people to sit.
That's
So
another
I
way
would
of looking
say,
at it too.
I would say first and foremost, the focus is like getting more benches
Okay.
out there and starting that program. And then if you want to pull in existing benches
Later.
and you want to paint them and whatever,
Then it becomes
fine.
another step.
Because then you're spending money. If I'm spending $5,000 on this bench that already exists, I'm not actually doing the 2-for-1
That's
where I'm spending that public art money.
Then it could
That's
be-
going to get us public
Yeah.
art, but it's also going to accomplish
then
another
it's
goal
paint.
of like providing seating.
But
Right?
I like that.
But also, one thing we should probably also define areas that we believe would be great for a piece
Mhm.
like that.
Sure.
And then base that RSP on that space.
Hi.
Hello, guys. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
But I do think it's two phases, whether
Yeah.
one comes first, whether one comes second.
I do like
think
the
that
idea of that. though.
The painting of the benches certainly would be something that could be implemented much more quickly. And I do think that curation, you want to make sure someone has the talent for a long living piece in
Right.
town and not just be.
What I
Yeah.
meant by curation is that we were gonna decide this area is only using those kind of benches. This area is using, that's what I meant by curating. Review for whatever's put forward would be the review. But when I was talking curating, like the park in front of town is only gonna have traditional benches.
Oh,
That's what I meant
I
when I
don't
was
even know
like,
that I
are
would even
you,
say that.
yeah,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
you, do we really
No,
want to, that's what I
no.
meant by.
For me, I
No.
think high traffic areas. Which could be trails, it could be seating on some of the stairways we're designing, it could be seating at the existing park. Have more of an opportunity to have something. Wow,
Different.
wow, and beautiful,
Mhm.
and in addition to the normal seating. You know, some of the examples that are in the brochure that we got. Aren't seating that is practical for resting weary old folks.
Right.
By any stretch.
I'm a little bit worried about that slingshot one.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not,
Shot.
it's not OSHA compliant.
Yeah.
I feel like kids are just gonna hang on them.
But
Maybe they can.
Oh, the frame is, yes. Because people could play shadows.
Oh, the frame.
Well, not only that, the picture.
That's the
It becomes a
windscreen.
constant living art piece.
And it
Anytime
becomes
anybody
a
sits.
frame.
And I like the,
Overall goal too, at least for me, 10,000 feet is to inspire people to get out.
Mhm, yes.
That's the goal. We want people to get out
And feel
and be
comfortable.
inspired to go look around and they get a seat to relax. To me, that's the mission statement.
Yes.
Also, you know,
I
when
agree.
you're providing bench spaces, you're also kind of inviting people to
Socialize.
socialize. Yeah, thank you. I was looking for that word. It was not coming, but yeah, that it is like, it's a community building. thing as well.
I feel like you guys aren't gonna like this, but this is just my brain. Do we want to allow opportunities for collaborations, let's say like with local businesses? Where I know we have all this stuff about naming and about contributing and a dead people bench, but like I do feel that like
By the
Yeah.
death board.
Mhm.
Sorry.
that let's say that Mamma Mia Pizza would love to have a bench in front of their business because they think that their customers would sit down and use it, or they have a vested interest
They
in
would
getting a
have
bench
to.
there.
Mhm.
So that they might have the opportunity to contribute, let's say $1,000 or whatever. And it's not the Mamma Mia bench, but maybe it's a bench that's like pizza themed. Like it's not for the
Mhm.
business, it's like outwardly. Like you can't like for hydrants, you're not really allowed to paint a hydrant as someone, but they pay homage. There are hydrants that pay homage to people more subtly, like Jeannie Berman Hosking, who started the hydrants. I painted a genie coming out of the lamp, and it's painted in her likeness, but it doesn't have her name on there. Or like Madhouse might want something near them, and they might be willing to contribute however much money, and it might be just like coffee themed or something. So it doesn't have the name of the business, but it is a way that we can bring money into the fund, and maybe we do a matching or something. We get more benches out and they're reflective of our business community. Or maybe on Crocker, there's some that their staff might want to use on their breaks or along Sierra Point. There's a lot of biotech there. So like I think that we have a lot of money in the fund, and we'll be getting more money in the fund. But I think it's just good for this committee to think about ways that we might be able to just bring in a little bit to help sustain.
And I think
fund
that
for a long
that's a
time.
great
Yeah.
idea. I think we would have to look at the existing ordinance that we have citywide on city accepting funds and see how that could work in it.
I also have, just to bring up, here's an example. So Mamma Mia has a pizza bench
Mhm.
and
They go out of business.
yeah, or someone else buys the business.
Right.
So what happens?
I think that's
I
cool.
think, well, I just think it's more important if we can be more generalized with, if someone I'm not opposed to getting funds to come in to help support this. But I don't know if I think the business should dictate.
But
or
that's exactly what Madison was saying.
Yeah,
Is that
The business would.
that they can sponsor it, but it doesn't, but they're not, their business name isn't going on. That even if you are putting something outside of like Madhouse or Mamma Mia's or any places that are referencing that business, it's not going to matter if that business isn't there in another couple of years, because the bench is still going to be the bench. But it's not going to be referencing a specific business.
Well, it's one thing, that could be true if it's a bench that isn't shaped like a pizza box.
Yeah,
Right.
But I think
Right.
that's cool. I mean, I think it tells the story of like
it could be ethnic.
it tells
could
us like the
be,
patrons, right? They tell the story of
Cinco de
like
Mayo.
one of them is the honeybee, and it's for B. Lawrence, and she's not here anymore, but like that hydrant tells the story of
What
like
was there.
she was a significant person in the community. Same with Jeannie. Like I think to have like a 23 Club bench, right? Imagine if we had a bench that was 23 Club inspired, and now the 23 Club's no longer there. It was such a big part of our community for so long. To me, it like kind of almost tells the history of visitation. And maybe nobody is really chomping at the bit. Like I know a lot of our businesses are struggling, but I could see saying to an artist like, hey, here's a business, could you make a bench inspired by them? Maybe it's a slice of pizza, maybe it's a splash of coffee or whatever.
What's cool
I
about
think
that
it'd be cool.
is we're gonna have, these will self-maintenance over time, like the fire hydrants. You have to paint them every 5 years. So this is a
And we
way
swap it out.
you swap out new art and new businesses and
On
you know,
the
and it's
self-made,
self-maintenance,
on the existing bench, yes, we're on a standardized bench.
standardized
Yeah,
and self-maintenance.
standardized and
Um,
self-made. Actually, that
but
would make it mainstream.
IRG may want to do some beautiful granite thing in
True.
on the Crocker
Yeah.
Trail, because
Yeah.
they do granite.
That's what they would sponsor.
Or maybe they give the materials and then somebody carves something. I just think it could
Yeah,
be a
sure.
cool way. Like I know that Lisa is not on this committee anymore. But Lisa and Greenlee and I talked extensively, and she was like, I'd really love to see a way for public art for us to invest in our, in our downtown, in our businesses, and give back a little bit to our businesses on visitation who struggle so much, and try to implement things that maybe will bring people from outside of town.
Very good.
And I think it's a good will sort of gesture like that we could use some of our money, but they had a vested interest. I mean, they would have to participate also. They'd have to put money in. But I could even see one like in front of the old library or in the back of the old library, and it's a book, and like it's no longer a library and it's never going to be a library, but that kind of tells the story of like what that used to be.
But yeah, no,
I don't know.
I think that's a great idea.
I think those are great ideas.
Throw
I
it
think
in.
That
Yeah.
Camille?
No NASCAR logo.
Great idea,
Okay.
as long as we don't.
We set the right expectation.
Yeah,
Yes.
you understand,
Yes.
you understand my hesitation,
Yeah.
just so you know, and to be
Yeah.
clear, my hesitation
I want
is,
my bench to go with me.
yeah, I want my bench to go with me,
Mhm.
number one. Number two, I'm gonna tell this artist what I want on that.
Yeah.
bench.
No, they're not. allowed
That's
to-
why you
and
guys
that-
see me
But it has to
hesitating.
be
Well,
clear
I
with the
paid,
guideline.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Well, I gave, you guys, and they're coming
But they would cite
such
guidelines.
money to
Mhm.
do X, Y, and Z, and I don't see that.
Yeah.
That's the reason that's the only reason
Yeah.
I
We would
have
have the
like,
paperwork.
because I don't want an artist who says, I have this idea. I think it's important to say yes and have a conversation, but not to be dictated by the person
Sure.
or the business who gave the money.
But I
Sure.
think we're also gonna have a list of like, because I do see this. In my head, it's sounding like there are a couple, like, at least two phases of this. And so like we have an initial phase where we, do like 5 or 10 or whatever, but we have. Oh God, my brain just went blank.
Examples.
Well, no, that we can pair up, that's where I was going, that we can pair up artists with the locations.
That's when once again, that's where my red flag goes up.
I would say we would manage the process, and the
Yeah.
business just
Yes.
puts
Well,
in money.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think that that necessarily is an issue, because part of our public art ordinance right now is if a business wants to not put money in lieu funds, they pick a sculpture that represents them. They're talking to an artist. They're, the molecule at phase 3 is a perfect example where the business did, I'm sure, give a vision or worked with an artist to give a vision. And yes, they're the ones paying for it. It doesn't make the art any less relevant.
No, it's just that I think in this case, the majority of the funds would be coming from
Maybe not.
from the committee. or
Maybe,
from our
maybe
fund.
not.
Maybe not.
Well, we could work through that. I mean, I think
I
that's
just,
something.
that's
yeah.
all I'm just voicing, I think we
That's a
should
good
move forward.
chair.
I'm just voicing that I don't want us to get into,
Well, then you get some benches that you're like,
Sure.
no, I don't want us to get into having to tell the artist what they're doing. You know me, I don't want to go in and say, well, they gave you $1,000, you can't listen to them and paint it orange with some pepperoni color in it.
yeah.
I'm making this up, I'm
Yeah.
being on the very end.
I know.
But I'm just saying, because we've been there.
Well, I think you do the RFP like you would any other one, and you would say we have money and we would like to create a bench in this location, and please take inspiration from
Yeah.
the pizza joint right in front.
Right.
And then
absolutely.
submit.
But we
And
do,
then
we
we-
are
yeah.
commissioning the work from an artist. We do have some say over what they do.
Yes, of course.
You know, I mean, that's true of
And
any
we-
time you're commissioning any artist.
Absolutely.
She knows where I'm coming from, just.
No, and I understand that too, but I think the reality is that any artist submitting a proposal and knowing that basically this is a commission, they know that there are limitations. It's
Yeah,
not like a
yeah.
piece that they're doing, for
And then
themselves
they
and
would
their own
present the piece, just like the
artistic
mural,
vision.
What it's gonna look like.
I think the messaging is around the business.
Yes.
The business,
Yeah.
because they're contributing,
Yeah.
you're saying, you're contributing, you're gonna get a bench in front of your
And-
business, it's gonna be inspired by your business, but you don't really have any say over the design.
Or you can have a conversation
Yes,
with
too.
the artist, that we're building community and conversations. And I agree all with that. I just want to put the
Yeah.
understanding
Let's do a test with,
that what we're doing.
let's do a
That's
test with
all I'm saying.
Madhouse.
Yeah. if there was a
Implement
spot for
phase
the bench.
2.1.
Let's do a couple, let's do
Yeah,
one,
let's go.
so that we have
Let's
many.
test,
applying to
at least
different
3.
things.
Phase 1 is existing benches that are not
No,
dead
no,
people
no.
benches.
Or
That's
we
what I-
could,
Oh, no. I
get
thought-
some benches like this feel throughout town. You get a collection going, you have 5 or 10, and at that point, it starts to become easier to pull in private contributions
Yeah.
because they can see this is, some of what we have. It would be a bench, really whimsical bench. And then once people know what to expect, then it might be easier to pull in.
So that might be more
Some
of
of
a
that
phase
private-
2.
And I do think that, when you're looking at lots of different options, a lot of these may work in a sidewalk frontage situation and many would not.
Yeah,
Totally.
And so whenever you're looking at
Absolutely.
street side benches, you're gonna be looking at a very much different parameter
Yeah.
of usability, not a trip hazard or a snag hazard, all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
and that's where
that
they
you're
might
gonna
have
look
to
at
be.
more than,
standard.
something that's more avant-garde or,
And the businesses on Crocker, right? Like those spaces could be probably bigger.
Mhm.
Yes.
And those businesses are there and it's a different, it'll probably be. different.
So the artist is gonna
Picture
know
the HSA
aesthetically what kind of bench to put, I mean,
Is it better than to maybe just choose like 3 areas of the same size that you think would be good, and then maybe 3 other places that could be a little bit more grand, and then you put out 2 different types of RFPs
Yeah.
with the same type of spacing, perhaps?
I would think.
Then you get
artists
different
would be good.
artists.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but the
Yes.
RFP would be like, we're looking for 3 artists for these 3 different locations of this size, and then we have 3 different larger
Yeah.
pieces, or
Yeah.
sidewalk benches, which have to be more streamlined.
Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
one RFP and identify these are the 6 locations and this is the spacing.
Yeah, there you go,
Right,
yeah, and something like
And
that,
it's like,
How many benches are there that are
just to get it
that are
started.
not dead people benches that are existing now that could use a refresh for phase 1?
Yeah,
A simple.
we only have 1 dead person bench.
Okay.
Oh, but
How many?
but somebody created a Google map of bench inventory in Brisbane. They're not all city owned,
Right.
but I don't know, there's over 100
Gotcha.
benches.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go out and identify the top 10 that need restoration or
That's the easy
improvements
lift.
and-
to
Yeah,
practice.
Start with the
that's the
restoration.
Are we gonna
first.
do,
I
is,
think we should do the end at the same time.
is that what we're doing? Restoration?
Wait,
or
wait,
like-
wait.
No, at one part.
Whoa,
so-
whoa, whoa.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's existing benches.
Yeah, 100 existing benches. Ooh.
Or you can,
That's phase 1, right?
or you can simultaneously identify, okay, these are the 6 locations we wanna commission or new benches.
I almost would say, like, not to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I would almost say, like, here are these places, some of them have benches. You could restore the existing bench, or you could replace it with something else.
Yeah.
And see,
Well,
Um,
we're just gonna put an
instead of
RFP out.
painting it,
I thought we
right?
were just gonna put out an RFP for blank spaces and benches that are
Existing.
already there.
Alright,
Yeah,
That's
One you get $5,000, the other get
Yeah.
$10,000.
Yeah.
right.
or
That's
20,
it.
whatever. Yeah, I get it.
I think what I
No
like to
rules.
see is for staff to bring back what our current
bench situation.
bench, gifting, donation,
Policies.
naming, all that policy, so that we can see what those limitations are right now, because that's gonna change how the direction goes. As far as how much, we can do with certain things. I mean, and it may not have any bearing on it, but I'd like to see what it is. I could probably tell you completely wrong what I remember it being, but
We talked
I
about
wasn't
it
paying
when Karen was
attention.
here. We
Yeah.
talked about it. We got updated.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty fresh in my mind. Yeah. I say that's phase one is the refresh the old ones, the ones that are there.
Fresh some of the, or refurbish some of the existing and then commission a couple of new open spots.
Yeah, open
Yeah.
spot.
I think
And
we
we
need
just
some
need to
new
just-
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
new
that's what I'm
ones.
saying.
Yeah.
That's phase two.
We're talking about doing,
Phase one,
Yeah,
phase
same
two.
time.
both of them at the same.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not talking about doing both at the same time?
Yes, that's what you just said.
Well, you keep saying phase one, phase two.
I know. Ignore the phase one, please.
You have to categorize it what they are though, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I think phase two would be the business sponsoring and figuring out how that would work. That would be later. That'll take longer.
I know, but I think that to a certain extent, the refurbishing existing ones is a bit more environmentally sound too.
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of-
It's a bench. It works. Why tear it down?
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
be
And-
more in favor of refurbishing than replacing
Oh,
benches.
Right.
I guess
Or
I'm
it's
in
just-
favor of creating more seating.
I think that
Then you're in charge of finding the new benches. Move on.
But no, I think we will get to the, like,
Well,
more
maybe
extensive
one of the
creation.
first places we can look for an RFP is on the stairway that they're going into design with, that Randy said they could add a landing to. And that could be an initial RFP for a new standalone.
And
perhaps
it would be on the
Okay,
hill.
is that the,
I think
the
we need to
San
let
Benito,
that
the one that's
project
currently under
get done.
construction?
No.
or is
Can we
this the
just
one
let
on-
that project get done?
No, are you referring to the Santa
We're doing
Clara,
now.
Oh, no.
The other one that
This-
they're.
the
ready-
Laurie to Santa Clara?
There
The
was
one that they're ready.
Ready to go out on RFP on that, right?
No,
Yeah,
it's, they're
pretty-
just,
they're
Yeah,
well, they're in design for
They're in
construction, but
design,
to
and that's
Terry's
where
point,
we would
if you
add
wanted
the
to place a
landing.
bench there, you would want the construction plans to have a landing for a bench.
But I think he's already adding one. Didn't Randy? Randy already said he was gonna make it big enough
Yeah,
for
I
it.
think
So we just need to
It's
double
so-
check.
Yeah, I agree. It's a different
He said he'd
conversation.
want that information in the
Correct.
next 3-4 months.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, but don't we, that's a whole project. That's a whole stairway, stairs, railings.
Right.
Like bench maybe could be sculpture. To me, that's a whole RFP for that. Maybe there's a bench, maybe there's not a bench, maybe
Different.
somebody proposes something else. I think like we keep it to benches.
Yeah.
You do three existing and 3 new, and those are places.
it.
Like,
I-
I think it's hard to choose a bench when we don't know, is that the only thing
We
that's
also,
going
we
in?
also nixed the benches on the San Benito stairways too.
What'd you say?
We also, like, what, the RFPs, we nixed the idea of putting a bench on the, San Benito stairway.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, because the
Because
platforms
yeah,
offer.
there was a lot,
huge.
yeah,
Right.
there was a lot going on there. I'm just saying like, but I mean,
But
Yeah, I
he did
think-
say he'd make some big landings at the other.
We told them yes. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
we
told
were
them we
interested. We
wanted.
told them make a landing.
Whether it's
I
for a
think-
bench or a piece of art.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, no, you have a point there. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, we should make that as one discussion. And I think let's keep it simple. Let's decide 3 refurbished benches and 3 spots and just move on. And
10,
get the
10
RFP.
and
out.
10.
I have.
So
I
can
Thank
staff
you.
come back with some places, maybe?
How about Fierce Park? Would a fancy bench at Fierce Park be part, like, do you have already
could be.
design?
I
Okay.
think there's already benches there though, and to me, it's like if
A
we're gonna put
refurbished.
new benches, they should be going in places without benches.
Okay, so that's a
Three,
refurbished.
that'd be refurbished.
Or I think it's one of those
Oh,
like
we're getting close.
lattice plasticky.
It is.
Somebody gave us a great transition.
Okay.
no, but I think. So basically,
Let's do some more.
we've kind of,
So staff, go ahead. And then I'll try to summarize.
Summarize.
no, so I mean, yeah, I was just. So basically, we've talked about number 1 on this list, the program administration structure and oversight. And so what we've basically come up with is that we're gonna move forward initially with 3 refurbished and 3 new for an RFP. So we need, so we haven't talked about any of the other items here. And I don't know if we have enough information at the moment to talk about budget and funding. Like, I think those are things that are gonna,
Right, we have to have, yeah, we're gonna have to come back with
Yeah.
areas, that's the next step, because we need to know which were the. Where are possible benches to refurbish, we need
Yeah.
that information, and where are possible places to put new benches. And then we can go from there, and then we can talk budget, and then we can talk timeline.
yep,
Can you ask for, in preparation for that conversation, it might be good to ask Nine Dot Arts, like, what is this kind of, like, what's an appropriate budget for this kind of,
A very good question.
yeah,
like this banana peel? Seems like it would be a lot in comparison to just like this little red guy.
Or would.
And, you know, I don't know how, like, what's a
Yeah,
fair
how do you
budget?
begin to, how do you begin to look at budget for
And,
things?
yeah,
I mean, I think
'Cause
when
that
you're
also-
looking at the banana peel, that's more sculpture budget than bench budget.
Paint, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but how do you put that on an RFP? And let's think about, I'll ask around too, because it is gonna determine. But we've done that before where we say between this and
Yeah.
this.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
as long as you
Broad
have a
range.
window.
right.
Yeah,
Of
so
what
that,
that should
so,
be.
yeah,
We get no one
And I
requesting.
think that's when we get down to talking about like the artist criteria and the selection process, we can talk about.
Yeah.
Like.
Mm.
That more specifically about what we're gonna ask
And Lisa,
of the artist.
Lisa could be a great resource just for what is paint? It's a good
Mhm.
budget for an artist for that. I
Mhm.
think we should
Yeah.
reach out to.
it's kind of like we did with the stairs. We said from here to here, this was our budget.
Well, this will be a good indication because
Yeah.
these are painted existing materials. And we either gonna get a lot of bites or no bites.
Right.
And that will be a good indication on like, oh,
What were you pointing at?
first
the
turtle in the helix.
So are we ready to move
Yeah.
on to talk about Bird Park? I just want to make sure everybody, we're good on the benches discussion for the moment. Okay.
It was hot earlier,
so
but now it's.
Is there something on this?
Okay, so we're moving.
I can change it.
No, no, good. Whatever. Just wondering if I was going crazy.
It's cold.
Okay, so
Oh.
Are you
Not
hot?
menopause.
Bad.
Or maybe you're under that.
Oh, you
You're
got it right.
directly right on.
No, I'm not.
Bring the heat, girl.
Musical chairs.
Aren't we, well, are we gonna be even here long enough for it to change?
You never know, but poor Tom.
Well, it was hot when we got here. and
I'm
now
really
it's
not
cold.
complaining. I just thought it was going crazy.
Signed.
Oh, it is. It's definitely a lot cooler right here. Look.
That's the shirt I designed.
There you go.
1 year.
I didn't see the back.
Oh, huge.
All right. We're ready. And it glows in the dark.
Oh, yes, it goes in the dim straight.
Locked down.
Well, that's okay.
Don't tell anybody. Don't stick it to.
Give me what you like.
All right.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so draft RFP is included here. I think, the purpose of today, or what I hope to accomplish today, is to get an idea of budget and project timeline. We've been referring to that secondary piece as the helix for quite some time, but it's actually a tree form. I found the original artist.
It's so interesting to see that they're from the same
They are.
person.
Yes, and so there's a whole Facebook group of people that have these pieces of art all over the world. Yeah, like there's this turtle is all over the place. Yeah.
How did it happen to like?
So I was able to track down some good information. Jojo actually was helpful in finding some of that.
Really?
Yeah, it gave me,
Nice.
yeah, it gave me like the dimensions of the pieces and the weight. And they were installed in the 70s. So there's quite a following for these exact pieces that were created by this artist, and they did
We need to have
a lot
that
of
there.
playground functional art.
Do we know how we ended up coming into ownership of these?
No,
Because I feel like the city wouldn't really.
have
in the
purchased them.
70s go out and buy these.
So
Just don't
I'm
think they
thinking
would.
we did unless somebody donated them, but these were very popular in the 70s and there's hundreds and if not thousands of them all throughout.
Have
Is
you
the ant still alive?
No,
have you seen people paint them?
yes.
Are there examples of that?
Not like mosaics, but different colors, yeah. We've seen
Solids.
turtles with different colors. All of the tree form examples I've seen are all just like solid single color. But anyways, it was kind of fun to do a bit of a deep dive there.
Very cool.
one thing, like you have the weight, like do we have a way to give the artist dimension?
Yeah, we will add that in. So yeah, at this point, the restoration of the pieces themselves, kind of fixing the gashes and smoothing out the surfaces and priming it for an artist to come in has been completed.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them
Yeah.
all.
So we just need to identify how much of the public art budget we want to allocate for this phase of the project and then determine a timeline. So once we identify a budget, we'll take it to the council, Senate, and then we can publish the RFP from there and then flush up. Uh-huh.
Sculpture for
Yeah.
play.
There's a dolphin.
Precast reinforced concrete clay sculptures and outdoor furniture.
Yep.
It'd be fun to gather more of those for that park.
Oh my God.
I thought about that, but the artist passed away, so they're no longer manufacturing them. But you could try to source them from
Yeah.
other places if you wanted to.
Here's the dog.
Or someone might
Yeah.
have the cast, like we did for the raccoon,
Mhm.
but anyway.
Wow, and a lot of them have the tree form with the.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this is so cool.
That history on the. in
Yeah,
the park.
somewhere.
We will have that when
That's
we
cool.
create
Yeah.
the Google map. Yep.
There's
With
dinosaurs.
the existing art. Yeah, there are.
Oh,
There's a
dinosaur would be
camel.
Fun for the park.
Yeah, there's some fun ones.
Fun.
So
Please bring that back.
Like, here's the play structure.
It's the same artist.
Say
Probably
anything about
safe
what it
anymore.
was, what that
Yeah,
was
they're not safe
at the
anymore.
time?
Super cool.
Yeah. Does it say anything what people paid for? I mean,
Oh,
okay,
that's a good question.
here's a philosophical question now. You understand?
Yeah, what do we?
Do we, I mean, are we,
There should be such things. I'm saying, it's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Now we're messing up with somebody's art.
mhm.
But we already did.
well, we restored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then was it the original color?
I guess,
Yeah.
Really?
I think.
Well,
it's
it's hard
green.
to say because if you look at the tree form, it looked like there was
Okay,
yellow
cute.
underneath. And it was probably painted over in Brisbane green at some point.
Oh, I remember, I feel like it was yellow.
They were yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm just saying.
Mhm.
I was thinking that too.
Oh, that's, yeah, now that we know that there is many of those.
So the turtle is a dome-like structure. The underside provides an enclosure easily accessible through the legs. The shell pattern is painted high gloss plastic paint and defined by grooves, which provide finger holds for climbing. 6 foot long, 4 feet and 5 inches wide, 2 feet by 8 inches high, weighs 750 pounds. Delivered to the site in one unit with anchor bolts ready for installation. Turtle is available in natural cement, muted tones of yellow and brown. So it's probably that this is what the yellow and brown. It's like yellow and then the things were
Oh my God, yeah.
The
it's so
shell.
pretty.
See?
See, that's,
it's like
But they also sent them as just concrete too, for
Mhm.
people to design,
So he was more into the natural.
you know.
finishes.
You know what I mean? I mean, they do
Yes.
sell the casting of it as in a concrete,
Yeah,
plain
and just plain gray.
format for people to design.
oh, it
It's
says
like-
that in
Uh-huh.
there? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so it's,
So
We do with-
like-
when they were selling these things, you could buy plain concrete and then you could redesign it the way you wanted.
they were
Whoever
just
bought it.
formed.
That's what it sounds like. to
Is
me.
that
Or you could purchase them in the mass
in the
production.
mass
produced
production?
colors,
the way
which
that
there
you
were
cut.
yellow,
Okay,
orange,
I don't
yeah.
mind if we just paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if that was his work,
So are we doing the fence too?
I see the cat.
That's gonna be phase
That's
two,
the next
remember?
stage,
That's gonna
yeah.
be later.
So
Mhm.
what about the
So
tile work?
Are we
front.
looking
That'll also be
for an RFP
Phase
for
two.
this to be painted? Or instead of just one color like they are now, which I think they look pretty damn
I'm
good.
okay with them.
I'm okay how they are right now.
I know.
And then if you do other stuff, then they lose their finger holds and
Well, I don't even know. if they-
make
yeah.
them less climbable structures if they've got. Like,
Yeah,
certainly if a mosaic was put on it, it's going to change its use.
Right, and I would also like to see now that they're painted and they're really
They're
kind of
really pretty. I
interesting.
thought they
To
were.
let us do everything that encircles the space and see if that informs how that might inform what they look like or what we add more into the space. So I'm ready, for me, I would keep them the way they are
I
right now and move on to phase two.
I hear Lisa driving down here right now saying, no way, we need to paint this.
She would have known this.
Yeah. I mean, because that was that, yeah, I mean, listening to all of this, my question is like, what
Lisa,
are we actually expecting an artist to do with those pieces?
There's a whole Facebook group of people.
I already joined the
tracking
Facebook group.
down.
Oh.
Yeah.
With
Did you add?
I did. I put ours on there.
Just be restoring them back to the original color.
Such good work on
Thank
You ever,
See
you're
it.
only 70.
You
it's
just fell,
got-
fell down a rabbit hole, didn't
I
you?
did. I was like,
Okay, so I guess the question is, we actually,
Should
we
we,
give ourselves
should we,
with
go-
that one.
should we make this a vote? Or should we
yeah. I
do
mean,
more
I guess the
discussion?
Question is, because it sounds like from the discussion that there's a strong consensus for not doing anything to them at this time.
Yeah.
You're saying no or yes?
Oh, no, let's not do anything to
Yeah,
it.
I'm with,
So, I mean,
I'm with
that's what-
Danielle for the moment. I don't think we should touch them for the moment.
I don't either. Do
Yes.
whatever else goes
Yeah,
with
and then
it.
we can
in
come
there.
back and
For
visit
Park
it.
mural then
Yeah, that's what-
instead?
Yeah.
I just looked at
maybe
it and I was like, wow,
fence.
this looks like Brisbane. Like, it is in our photos.
I put them on there.
Nice and restored.
Yeah.
See,
lovely.
okay, here's one
Okay.
in Oakland that they put the mosaics on.
Hmm.
They put mosaic on a dolphin, and I don't know, I think it kind of takes away.
So let's wait until everything else is done.
I saw a really cool one that
pretty.
they had a
That-
turtle and they put it in a shallow pond and there were turtles on the turtle
Oh.
shell, like it was their, they were sunning themselves.
Something may come out of that once we do the other portions.
I think we're unanimous.
Okay.
Yes,
we're
so-
unanimous. Yeah, I mean, I actually
Recycle.
think,
Yeah, good work though. What a great
Thank
job.
you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was so fun to find out.
we need to like take a motion and have a vote.
I think there's
Sure.
consensus.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
that's it.
Moving on. Yeah.
Not,
we have
not to
consensus
move
that we
forward with
are-
this.
With phase one.
Yeah.
So are we moving forward with phase two?
Yes. And-
Okay, so let's bring that back for discussion at the next
Okay.
meeting so we can flush that out, what
Yeah.
the goals are there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So the only thing left on our agenda.
And
Great.
That's great.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's okay.
Smart, it's smart. Yeah,
You went down the turtle.
that's why we're here.
I
Yeah, you
did.
did.
I did.
You couldn't have given us so much
I,
information.
Man,
No,
Oh, we have-
nobody's on.
We have one more thing on our agenda.
I don't know if you don't let them weigh in on,
That's true.
on this item.
I just don't know if there's anybody there. I can't.
Yeah, no,
We have-
nobody is on.
Out there.
no,
Nope.
nobody.
Nobody
Okay.
for public comment at this time.
Those are safe. The paint on them are
They're-
durable.
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah, nobody's here.
Thermal did it.
I don't know what, oh,
Yeah.
bomb proof.
I mean, I personally.
I'm gonna hide it during the earthquake.
Are they the same color?
Yes.
So,
Cause the photos.
Yeah,
the-
one's in the shade, one's in the sun. It's the same paint color.
Okay.
It's so crazy to know that they're part of this big turtle.
What's the last thing on the agenda?
the last thing on, so the last thing on our agenda,
Okay, keep going. What's the last, let's do it.
okay, the last thing on our agenda is that we need to designate chair and vice chair for this next year.
I think you should do it.
I'm getting out of here. Should I?
No, you've never,
So-
Chan.
What do I have to do? This?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I'll do that.
Good.
Okay, there you go.
So,
Do we have to
yeah, formal.
formal? Okay, I move that we nominate Tom for chair.
Second.
Yeah.
Wait, we having to,
Or
you wanna
do
say
we need to have discussion?
The only thing is that
do you want to do it again?
yeah,
Oh,
It was.
the agenda. That I wasn't.
From the assumption that you didn't want.
Just
Oh,
1 year, 1 year cycle.
Cause no one else ever
How about
wants
you
to-
be chair and you be vice chair?
Sure, there you go. All right. I move that we keep chair as is and add Tom as vice chair.
I'm vice chair on public art, Park and Rec, is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right,
All right, we need. we
Let's
need
do
to
a
get
roll
that
call on
sorted.
that.
We'll run these meetings.
Chair Glassman. Chair Glassman, would you,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
for the Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Aye.
Park and Recreation Commissioner Sewell?
Enthusiastic eye.
Committee Member Kelstead?
Hi.
Committee Member Salmon?
Yes,
Great.
thank you.
You've been a great chair.
Yeah.
Mhm. Keep us in line.
Oh, you've been chair for like 2 years.
No.
But I think almost 2 years is a good amount,
Yeah.
because then you get like more of a handle on it. You know.
Well, maybe you get to see a project to fruition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. 1 year goes fast.
1 year goes really
Good.
fast.
Yeah, it's already June.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
Camille's like, as long as it's not me,
yeah,
don't pick me.
okay,
All right.
so now we have public comment, but we don't have anybody
Me-
waiting.
Checkmate.
You're looking at my forehead.
Nobody has written in
Okay.
before or since.
So our next meeting is July 21st at 5:15. Does that work for everyone?
It better.
Yeah. Okay, I know at the moment. Then if
Taking
there's
a break.
nothing further,
Mhm.
Oh, are we?
we are
taking a break
adjourned.
In August?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I won't be here. but-
We usually do.
Yeah, adjourned. All right, thank you.
But it's